JBN, we keep you informed. Two dead from separate crashes hours apart in Clarendon and St. Catherine. Two men died in two separate motor vehicle crashes hours apart in Clarendon and St. Catherine on Friday. The deceased men have been identified as 39-year-old Martin Ains of Christiana, Manchester, and 20-year-old Delaware Brown, otherwise called Andy, of Elgin Town, Lucky Hill in St. Mary. In the first incident, Ains died from injuries he sustained in a two-vehicle collision along the P.J. Patterson Highway in Clarendon. The Mappen police reported that about 8:30 p.m., Ains, who was driving a Toyota Hiace, collided into the rear of a Leyland truck traveling in the same direction. He was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. 3 hours later, Brown died at hospital after the car he was traveling in crashed into a utility pole along the Guys Hill Main Road in St. Catherine. According to reports, Brown and another man were passengers in a Mitsubishi Lancer motorcar traveling along the Guys Hill roadway. The male driver reportedly lost control of the vehicle, which ran into a utility pole. The driver and the other passenger reportedly fled the scene, leaving behind Brown, who was severely injured. He was assisted to the hospital where he died. The driver of the vehicle was later apprehended and taken into police custody. His identity has been withheld, pending charges being possibly laid against him. Firearm and ammunition seized in Manchester, man in custody. One man was taken into police custody following the seizure of a .38 revolver and 12 rounds of ammunition at a premises on Green Street, Knockpatrick in Manchester on Sunday. The Newport police report that about 6:45 a.m., a team was on operation when a house was searched and the firearm and ammunition were found. The suspect was subsequently taken into custody. However, his identity has been withheld pending further investigations. Leaders distance themselves as pastor awaits sentencing on sex abuse charges. The Kingston-based Harvest Temple Apostolic Church has vowed to press on, declaring that it has nothing to be ashamed of as its disgraced pastor awaits sentencing on sex-related charges after impregnating a 12-year-old girl. Last week, Pastor Kenneth Blake pleaded guilty to 2 counts of having sex with a person under 16 years old and 1 count of sexual touching in the Home Circuit Court. He had been denying the charges for 2 years, despite DNA tests revealing that there was a 99.99% chance he was the father of the minor's child. At Sunday's first service since the guilty plea, senior church leaders insisted that the pastor's sins would not be the congregation's shame. God doesn't deal with wrong. If somebody is wrong, then they will receive their pay for what they did. I am free through the Son of God, and there is no condemnation in Christ Jesus, a female elder who did not wish to be identified said after the service. What happened cannot affect the church, which is built on Jesus Christ. I am not afraid, and I am not cast down because the church didn't do anything wrong, she added. Pointing out that each man would have to answer for his wrongs committed on earth, the elder had this advice to members of the clergy: live right and follow the commandments of Jesus Christ. As long as you follow the commandments, you shall live and not die. The gates of hell and the enemy shall not prevail. God will deliver us from enemies. I am not going to bow down my head in shame, for I have nothing to be ashamed of, she continued. We leave everything in the hands of God because we cannot do anything. During the Sunday service at the Slipen Road Church, a male preacher sought to enlighten worshippers on the strength of the devil, warning congregants to be careful. Don't ramp with the devil. The devil takes the best of the best. It is unfortunate that a child of God could find himself in that place, the preacher said. Blake, who is now 56, was arrested by detectives from the Center for the Investigation of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse in August 2017. His then 12-year-old victim was the daughter of one of his parishioners to whom he was engaged to be married, investigators said. The now 15-year-old gave birth to a boy in November 2017. He is to be sentenced on October 18. Police refute Rasta's version of Chunga Changa arrest. The police have released their version of events which led to the arrest of popular Rastafarian personality Robert Lee Young, otherwise called Chunga Changa, in Montego Bay, St. James last month. Chunga Changa was arrested by cops who the Rastafarian community claimed demanded a strip search from him after they had searched him and found nothing illegal. The Rastas claimed Chunga Changa refused to comply to being strip searched and was hauled off and charged with resisting arrest, but a release from the Constabulary Communications Unit (CCU) contradicted that claim. The police said Chunga Changa, who is known to wear clothes made from banana leaves and bamboo, was charged following a Friday, July 12 incident in which he reportedly refused to comply with the instructions of a policeman whose suspicion was aroused by his behavior along the Jimmy Cliff Boulevard in the second city. It is reported that after being asked to allow the policeman to search a bag that he was carrying, Young refused and then shoved the policeman while uttering indecent language, the release stated. The case was mentioned in the Parish Court on Wednesday, July 31, where it was transferred to the Petty Sessions Court. He is to return to court on Friday, September 27, to answer to the charges of resisting arrest and indecent language. The Jamaica Constabulary Force is committed to respecting the fundamental rights and practices of all groups within the society. However, members of the public are being reminded that several pieces of legislation, to include the Constabulary Force Act, the Road Traffic Act, and the Town and Communities Act, confer the powers of search upon the police on the basis of reasonable suspicion, and as such, requests should be complied with. Moreover, the law requires that members of the public comply with the requests of the police generally in all circumstances and refrain from behavior that obstructs them from carrying out their duties, the release further stated. No safe haven for criminals in St. Elizabeth vows new top cop. New head of the St. Elizabeth Police Division, Superintendent Samuel Morgan, says he will mix close communicative relationships with residents with robust and efficient policing to ensure that there is no safe haven for criminals under his watch. We want to say to citizens, we will be enforcing the law to its letter, and will be doing that through a zero-tolerance approach, Morgan told the journalists during a briefing at his office last Friday. The parish of St. Elizabeth is no safe haven for criminals. We want the parish to be safe, and I'm prepared to lead that charge to provide safety and security for our citizens, added Morgan. A 29-year veteran of the police force, Morgan replaced Superintendent Catherine Lord in mid-July. Lord was at the helm in St. Elizabeth for 2 years. Morgan has taken over police statistics, showing a significant uptick in murders in St. Elizabeth so far this year. Up to last Friday, there had been 16 murders since January 1, compared to 10 for the corresponding period last year. A number of robberies and break-ins across leading towns and villages in recent months have also sharpened the public perception of an increase in criminal activity. However, Morgan pointed out that St. Elizabeth remained a low-crime parish and one of the safer parishes, and he intends to keep it that way. The level of crime in St. Elizabeth is such that normal policing can deal with it, Morgan said. Among his strategies will be to bring greater order to streets and marketplaces. To that end, Morgan said the police will be working closely with the St. Elizabeth Municipal Corporation. Morgan, a St. Catherine native, said he had begun discussions with Mayor of Black River Derek Sangster to develop a plan to ensure illegal vending and chaotic behavior by transport operators are brought to an end. He hinted that activities such as illegal vending and improper parking provide cover for criminals and made it more difficult for the police to do their jobs. Morgan added that such behavior hindered law-abiding citizens from freely going about their business. He said he would be engaging with taxi operators in a series of discussions to ensure that parking spaces are arranged for them because they do provide a critical service. But at bottom line, people must be safe, and people must be able to go about unimpeded by any activity that creates mayhem or prevent them from moving about freely, declared Morgan. He said well-coordinated and regular foot and mobile patrols in town centers would be a cornerstone of the police approach under his watch. According to Morgan, two-way communication with the public will be very important. He pointed out that meetings in communities and in public places such as churches had already started, and he was also in touch with the business community. The police superintendent said feedback would be emphasized, with investigators required to keep in touch with crime victims, providing updates on the status of investigation. It's a natural part of policing that there must be feedback, said Morgan. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.